Hello everyone. Today I wanted to introduce you to what is called the ERWC arc and kind of talk about the first half of the arc. In order to understand what I'm talking about, it might be helpful to look at the graphic that I posted on Canvas. It should be right above this video. Okay, so one of the core pieces of an ERWC course is the process of moving from a professional text, something written by a professional writer or an academic or a journalist, something like that, to a written piece that you, the student, creates. I'm sorry to say, but you're not professionals yet. Maybe one day. This process is called the ERWC arc. And today we'll focus exclusively on the first half of the arc, but rest assured, we will talk about the other half very soon. The process goes like this. I present to you something to read. I walk you through the the pre-reading strategies, which can be quite a lengthy process. It's an especially difficult text. You've already completed the pre-reading strategies for Island Civilization. These include discussing your values, researching the author, skimming the title, and getting a good hold of vocabulary. After pre-reading, we will move on to the reading for understanding, or with the grain. Sometimes you'll hear me call this playing the believing game. This is also sometimes called the first read, although sometimes you'll have to read it a few times to fully understand the content behind the text. The goal here is exactly as it sounds. You are focusing on understanding what the author says and the argument they make. Try really hard not to be cynical in this part of the process. That will come later. It is vital that you understand what and why the author says what they do before moving on to questioning or evaluating the text. After all, how can you have a reasonable opinion on something before you fully understand it? Finally, after you spend a good amount of time and effort pre-reading and understanding the text, you will move on to the fun part, questioning the text. This is sometimes called playing the doubting game as opposed to playing the believing game, or reading against the grain as opposed to with the grain. Here you'll examine the author's claims with a fine-tooth comb. It'll be your task to put on your cynic hats and question not only the motivation of the author, but also their rhetorical strategies that we discussed in the previous module. How is the author trying to persuade you? Are they being disingenuous or acting in bad faith? Are they trying to pander to create to a certain audience? Are they being manipulative? Are they qualified to speak on the subject? Do they have ulterior motives? Do they use dramatic or loaded language to get their points across? Most importantly, how convincing are they? Do they convince you? This is an important step to take before the next part of the arc in which you respond to the text. Although it may be tough, I encourage you to hold off on solidifying your opinion on the text until this point in the process. Even though this arc will be a part of this course all year, I encourage you to keep up on this in your post-high school career. These strategies are specifically designed for you to use in college. If you develop these good habits now, you will be more likely to use them in your future academic career, and they are really helpful. It may seem monotonous or boring or repetitive at times, but there is a process here, and I really encourage you to try to allow the process to work. The text you're about to practice this on is Island Civilization, a vision for human occupancy of the Earth in the fourth millennium by Roderick Nash. In my opinion, it is as difficult to read as it is controversial. Nash makes very interesting arguments to solve a very interesting problem, and you will likely have a strong reaction one way or another. But please follow this arc process with fidelity and hold off on your opinions until the very end. View this text with an open mind and you'll get the most out of it. Try not to be discouraged if you struggle to follow along. Take breaks, read it out loud, discuss it with a friend, use your vocabulary chart, etc. There are many techniques to getting through a long text, and I suggest you use what you have. Please enjoy.